Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, welcome to the program, January 12th, year of our Lord, 2023. So yesterday I mentioned that I'd been startled by this news that my gas stove was killing me. And I suggested, first of all, that I was appreciative of the information and this learning about induction stovetops and all this kind of thing. But I am so not surprised to see the immediate politicization. Why can't I say that word? Am I saying that right? Politicization of this. I'm so sick of it. I think I suggested yesterday that this would happen. It's just everybody knows the drill. Someone says something, and it blows into this huge, huge thing. I've a little background since that I've seen. First of all, I was saying that the person who seemed to have set this off was a person who had a name that certainly rang some bells. And that was Richard Trumka, whom I'm assuming, I think it's Richard Trumka Jr., which suggests that he is the son of the late labor leader. And he turns out to be a commissioner on the Consumer Product Safety Commission. So Richard Trumka happened to, in an interview, say, it was an interview with Bloomberg News, he brought up this gas stove thing, which has caught his attention. And he said this, and this is all it took. This is a hidden hazard. Any options on the table? Products that can't be made safe can be banned. Well, all of those statements are true. But all you have to do is say banned about a product that is found in 35%, as it turns out, of American homes. And all hell breaks loose. No one, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick. Turns out that in October, so 2-3 months ago, Trumka suggested that the staff of the Consumer Product Safety Commission should start writing up potential rules that would regulate perhaps gas stoves in the future, or going forward, as we apparently say now. And he couldn't unilaterally do that because the commission is made up of a board of commissioners, Trumka being one. And as it turns out, he couldn't get one other commissioner to vote with him. So the staff at the Consumer Product Safety Commission is not doing that. But in this interview with Bloomberg, because this is a pet peeve of Trumka's, and fine, I don't have a problem with him being concerned about it. I think it's a legitimate concern. He brings it up and says, our job is, looking into the safety of products, Consumer Product Safety Commission. And we can, things that are proven to be hazardous can be banned. All of that is true. But all hell breaks loose. Here is, the pearl clutching and the fainting fits. So you got this Republican, of course. This is just a gift to them. It's like whoever first said defund the police. The Republicans say, "Oh, God bless you." And believe me, that's what Republicans are saying about Trump right now. And the statement he made that he thought was innocuous, essentially, in a small interview with Bloomberg News. All hell has broken loose. So here's Gary Palmer, Republican of Alabama. It is time to rein in the Biden administration and their continual desire to control our lives. Trump has this concern, and he has a position, and he's been unable to get the other commissioners that have the same position into sharing his concern. But one statement made by the one commissioner, who by himself can do absolutely nothing, creates a maelstrom. Now, it immediately turns into a red-blue. And it turns out this has been already a red-blue without even Trump having said, because some cities in California and then in other blue states began changing their building codes to ban gas hookups in any new construction. And these ordinances have been passed by representative bodies in blue cities. And they don't in any way affect anybody who has a gas stove, nor do they ban the sales of gas stoves. But that was enough. It turns out that no less than 20 Republican-controlled state legislatures, I'm sure at the behest of the gas lobby, immediately passed laws prohibiting any cities in their states passing such ordinances. I despair. The reality is researchers, as I said yesterday, have increasingly documented significant indoor air pollution and negative health impacts from gas stoves. And since there are alternatives available, it just makes sense to, first of all, let people know that. And then maybe, as these other states have done, say, listen, in new construction, you're going to have electric, which is just fine. The White House already dragged into this, of course. They said, Trumka said, what? To whom? Huh? What's this about? So the White House has had to put out, the president does not support banning gas stoves, a White House spokesman said yesterday. Oh, God. God help us. Here's another fact, and then I'll leave it. But gas stoves emit nitrogen dioxide. They also emit carbon monoxide. And also, there always has to be 3, fine particulate matter, which you get a lungful of every time you walk outside here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But the thing is that gas stoves emit these bad things sometimes at levels that exceed the guidelines set by the World Health Organization, the Environmental Protection Agency, and anybody else who pays attention to health hazards. So, oh my God. So there you have it. Meanwhile, I will definitely be looking to rid myself of this polluter in my house. What? Aw, damn. Robert, whatever you sent me, my thing is saying it can't open the page, which I don't understand. So if there's any other way you can get me this, that's fine. Some kind of billboard up in Butler County causing a lot of, it says commotion, but I can't see it. So just saying. Of all the things that I'm sorry. I'm asking my producer. Did you say I have a call? Oh, okay. Yep. Hello.
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 Hello, it's a OM guy. How's that? I didn't know it was a OM guy. You know, nobody's ever called me boring. They've called me other things, but boring, I don't know. But anyway, whatever. Yeah, ho-hum. Boring.
There you go. Listen,
anyway,
we don't necessarily know. Okay, go ahead.
My name's Joe, but I never say it. So.
Oh, there. The name is
yeah,
Joe.
I told you before.
Okay, no. Yeah, but I forgot. I forgot.
I probably did, because I figured, why did they care what my name is anyway? That's what.
So my producer, I'm sorry, listen. It's not my producer has dubbed you the whole hum guy. I don't know.
I've been told worse.
All right.
Yeah.
I know who he means when he says it, but hi. So
but anyway, what I was going to say is, so I agree with the gas. I can't take it. I was going to change when I was replace mine. I was going to run electric line, and then the price of it, But so my problem is, where do they go after the grass water tank?
I don't know.
Gas inserts in your fireplace. I mean, it's going to never end. I mean, pretty soon. Which then we'll all go to all electric. Which I have electric.
Well, is it possible? Yeah, but is it possible that the gas stoves, for some reason, do more of this emitting by virtue of I don't know what?
Yeah, I think so.
than a gas fireplace insert or a whatever. Probably do, but I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know where things start or stop, but moving in the right direction.
They can design stuff to get rid of that too. There's probably more modern. You probably have an old gas stove like we used to have in our old house, and they do. You can smell it. I mean, I agree with it 100%. But there's things they could do to get rid of that. I mean, they can make it pretty efficient, but I don't know if they really want to do that. And then probably cost to have a line run for exhaust and all that.
It's always something.
Yes.
God knows.
I'm like you. I've worked with gas, but I don't like it. It scares me. I mean, I'd rather work on electric than I would gas. Yeah. I don't like things that blow up.
I don't like things that blow up, and I don't like things that can kill you dead without even you knowing they're killing you dead. So no, I don't like it. It scares me. And as I said, as a Jew, I have a historical aversion to gas.
Well, there you go.
So,
yeah.
There you go.
I forgot about it. Okay.
Thank you. So thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, okay. So where was I going? Was I going somewhere before the call came in? Oh yeah, I came upon this and I thought this was fascinating. And I'm so glad that Damar Hamlin he's out of the hospital. I love it. I'm getting some weird audio kind of strange. So somebody messing with things back there. Just saying. Okay. I came upon this. I think it is in the Washington Post. And I don't even understand all of it because it gets into physics. And I'm a girl. So when it comes to math and science, my brain apparently doesn't function properly. Or I was told it. So this is an attempt to explain to those of us who can't quit the violent game of football what every one of the players suffers, and I'll use the term advisedly, suffers entertaining us in every game, in every practice, okay, so first of all, they say, even though I remember my sister saying that she sort of got turned off of football as a young person going to Packer games at Lambeau Field because we sat, we had a lot of seats back in the day. She had some of our seats were really pretty close. And she must have been in those when she heard. She said she remembers the sound of the impact of two bodies, bam, coming together. And it just freaked her out. She did not have a good reaction to it. She thought that kind of level of violence was frightening to her happening. So she didn't like it. However, a lot of other people don't have that reaction to it. Quite the opposite. But this is an article trying to explain to us what is happening when two large, well-conditioned, faster than you would expect human beings come at each other, going full speed, full force, and then come to a halt as they don't stop till they've bang encountered each other. And oh my God, I let me see if I can find. This is a scientist who does all this, but he's written. He's a renowned physicist. And not only a renowned physicist, but he went to prep school with Bill Belichick at Phillips Academy in Andover. I didn't know Belichick was, so he was a little rich kid. Interesting. And this renowned physicist actually managed the football team there, and he really got into the Newtonian principles that are at work in football. And I mean, he published a paper 2 years ago on the parabolic flight of a long spiral path. This is a guy who takes his love and fascination with a sport and marries it to his scientific brain and then tries to explain it. And he explains that when two players of roughly similar size and speed collide, the thing that matters most is the catastrophically, he puts it, short duration of time in which they have gone from high acceleration to zero. So the damage to their bodies is in the stopping as much as in the running, or more so than in the running. So I'm going to, some of this just, Newton's second law says, this gets force equals mass times acceleration. No, I can't do this because I can't do it if I can't understand it. Here's where he gets into my level of where I can comprehend. When these two forces meet, he says the force that's created is a force of about 3/4 of a ton, which is the weight of a baby whale. So if you can't quite understand the math of it, then go to SeaWorld, he says, and let a young orca slam into your face. Because now you're feeling what a player feels with every hit. Now, if two players collide helmet to helmet, which is only sometimes against the rules in football, he says it is akin, and he's done the math, to having a 16-pound bowling ball dropped on your head from a height of 12 feet, which I think would kill you dead. And what he has pointed out is that the percentage of football players who are injured on the job, what do you think it is? Throw a number out there, because, yeah, it's 100%. It's 100%. Every one of them gets hurt. And they will suffer as they age. 4 times as likely to suffer neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's or ALS. They need joint replacements more than most of us do. They get arthritis at extraordinary rates. I remember seeing an old Green Bay Packer. I thought he was old. As I stop and think about it now, he was probably in his 50s, early 50s. We were out to dinner in Green Bay, my parents, and Ray Nitschke, who was a storied Green Bay Packer on Vince Lombardi's teams, walked in, or tried to. My God, he was like this crippled old man. And I remember my father saying something like, that's what, you see them, he started naming names, that's what they look like. And here's something that's just disgusting. Knowing this, that, people say, well, look, they get paid so much. Yeah, fine. Okay, they get paid so much. Can you imagine? They'll need the money. I hope they tend it carefully, because guess what? The NFL's health insurance program lasts 5 years after retirement, and then it's gone. And that's, by the way, if they qualify for that. Not everybody qualifies, or the extension. So, the person writing the piece ends it thusly. So enough with the souped up graphics, which portray these men as if they are metallic skinned, armored, shape shifting transformers with iron hides and replaceable parts. They are vulnerable human beings in extreme motion. and doing it for our entertainment. So that piece is called "The Breathtaking Violence of an Ordinary NFL Hit," and it's by Sally Jenkins, Washington Post, if you find that interesting. Another NFL piece I came upon, as long as I'm in the territory, is the NFL. How's that Rooney Rule working? What is the percentage of black players in the NFL? I don't have that number. 60, 70%, 70%. Anyway, the NFL right now is down to 2 black coaches. One of them here, as you know. 2. This is long after the Rooney Rule was supposed to. You gotta wonder what that would be about. I'm sorry, what that would be about, except just flat out racism. They play the game. They know the game. There's a million of them. Coup. It's because Lovey Smith, is that his name? The poor guy he was, last I remember, he was the Bears coach. They fired him. Then he went somewhere else, and now they just fired him. And black coaches, it's long documented, they get fired more easily than white coaches. They can even have a winning season, and they get fired. And I guess, how's that Rooney Rule working? And you stop and think, what's the Rooney Rule say? You got a head coaching position. You've got to interview at least, one black guy before you give it to the white guy you always intended to. I guess that's essentially what the Rooney Rule says. Unbelievable. Okay, well, listen. I want to share something with you. I'm just reading it. I don't know how many of you follow Virginia Montanez. She writes, she's an amazing writer, sort of this indefatigable, bright human being who's funny and smart. She started, first time I was aware of her, she was calling herself Pit Girl, and she was putting stuff out that was wonderful, and she was anonymous. And I can't quite remember this. I should have her on the show, my God. And whatever. She ends up losing her job as a result of her being Pit Girl, but then just goes out and starts doing her thing. And she's was featured for a long time in Pittsburgh Magazine. The Post-Gazette has wisely been using her work, although she now is not letting them because of the strike. But she puts out a thing. Let me find it for you if I can. Why can't I find it? Breathing Space. Oh, please don't tell me I can't open. Do not tell me this. Excuse me. Do you scream at your? I can't get it. Fuck you. Excuse me. I'm getting a bunch of cryptic. Fuck you. Damn it. Well, I guess I won't do it. Because I can't. There's more than one way to skin a cat. God, where did Where did that phrase come from? I'm serious. Where did that come from? I'm going to try to find her. Here it is. Okay, I got it. So I'm just doing it on my phone. She puts out this wonderful thing. You should subscribe. And I'll tell you how to do that later. In which she comments on all kinds of stuff. Pittsburgh news, media. And I was reading her latest thing, and she talks about the fact that City Paper got bought by the same folks who own the Post-Gazette. And she says it starts this way. It's not a silencing. It's merely a shushioning. She has a bad feeling about the fact that City Paper has been sold. And she says this. I say this as an occasional contributor to the Post-Gazette, not while they're on strike. I don't like this news at all. She goes on to say, the City Paper has historically served as a check on the owners of the PG. They covered, among other PG-focused stories, when the Post-Gazette, you'll recall, overreacted to one of their reporters. It was a black woman, Alexis Johnson. She tweeted a picture of the unbelievable garbage-strewn disaster of the parking lot after a Kenny Chesney concert, and put it next to what was being called, the terrible damage being done by Black Lives Matter protesters, which, I mean, just paled in comparison. And she was then pulled off covering any Black Lives Matter stuff by the PG. She has since left and gone on to bigger and better things, by the way. So Virginia Ginny is saying this is the kind of thing that, who's going to cover that? The PG? No, City Paper covered that. City Paper is the one who put the picture out about the J.R. Block, one of the owners, happily, proudly flying on Donald Trump's airplane. And they published the fact that when he drunkenly showed up and did this crate with his daughter in tow and had this, just drunken tirade in the PG newsroom. None of that would get out except for City Paper. So she puts that all out there. And then she said, so the PG basically is buying the paper while presenting it as them saving the paper, which may be the case, but it very much feels instead like they're starting the long game of silencing a critical voice. And then she notes that the PG says that the City Paper will keep all of its employees and operate independently, which they have told the employees there. And she says this: if you think anyone on this earth is spending a bunch of their money to save the platform that one of their fiercest critics uses to draw attention to their faults, rather than just letting the platform die, have I got a fat-free, low-cal Primanti sandwich to sell you? She goes on to say, I hope I'm wrong. I doubt I am. Pittsburgh's powerful circles need checks as much as the government does. And if the City Paper stops being an independent voice, Pittsburgh will suffer for it. Then she writes, somewhere J.R. Block is saying, who the hell is Virginia Montanez? And how about instead of paying her occasionally, we pay her never? And then she says, I'm about to get canceled, aren't I? I don't know. Not if they're smart. You know, the thin-skinnedness of people who put themselves in these public positions, owning the local newspaper, and then trying to control the reaction of people to their control of local media is, I mean, you gotta, whatever. I'm just putting that out there, and I thank her for her always extraordinary. She's writing a book. She's getting she's in graduate school. She's got children. She's like a space lunatic. She never stops. I don't know how she does it. And she's a force. And God bless her. Just saying. Okay. So I want to just, I did something last night that sort of shocked me. I was looking around for something to watch. My son was over, and we were looking at documentaries. And I see one called Gimme Danger. And it was by the director was Jim Jarmusch. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but a name I recognize and appreciate. He was the director of that Billy Bob Thornton film called Sling Blade, which I thought was brilliant. Anyway, this is a documentary that Jarmusch did about my nemesis, Iggy Pop. And since I had seen a picture and an article about Iggy Pop just the other day, he just won't get out of my line of sight. And he was like lying down without a shirt. Why he keeps subjecting us to his wrinkled, I mean, just parchment paper chest and arms is beyond me. But there he was. And I thought, well, maybe I should watch this. Because if it's about Iggy Pop back then, that'd be about the time that I had my run-in with him. Be like, whatever, 70s. But it turns out it went way, way back farther, into the 60s. Iggy and I are the exact same age, graduated from high school at the exact same time, and ended up in the same places quite a bit. And I got to tell you, I watched this and tried to have this open mind. I really did. I did. I think I did pretty well. I still don't like him. I even don't like him every bit as much as I didn't like him before. He's not particularly articulate. I don't know. And I did realize that when he was on my show and we had our unfortunate whatever that was, that made its way at the time into the local newspaper, whose employees were on strike, and written by a scab entertainment reporter who hated my guts because I was very pro-union and had said some things about him. He wrote this piece making it seem like Iggy Pop had made a fool out of me. Now, that may well be. And I am not without blame in that I had not prepared well for this interview. I didn't have a sense of I did not have a sense of his importance. And this would be after the Stooges were gone, I think. It'd be 75, 76. And I don't know. It was like on page 3 of the local paper, at the top, a banner headline, Iggy Pop bests Lynn Cullen. Something like that. Gets the last laugh. I don't know. I've got it here somewhere. So I always been so. Anyway, I don't like him. I don't even like his music. I don't get any of it. I don't. And I'll go to my grave. Jim Jarmusch did not direct Sling Blade. Billy Bob Thornton did. Are you sure? I'll defer to you. I'm wrong all over the place. I don't know. You do know my good story, though, about the Iggy Pop. This is why I think more than anything why I remember it. I don't know that this would have become such a big to-do, Iggy Pop and me, if I hadn't been at the time so enraged and so unable to counter this story. So, I mean, I went over to my friend's house, Robin, and I remember exactly where I was sitting at her dining room table, where many incredible, memorable events in my life have happened. And I said, Robin, I'll write it, but will you sign it? I'm going to write a letter to the editor defending Lynn Cullen. Will you sign it? And Robin, my dear friend, said, no. Well, geez. Which I have to admit pissed me off. And at that point, her dog, who figures in a lot of memorable stories, her dog named Ernest Rubin, Ernie, comes walking in to the dining room. And I said, Ernie, would you sign the letter? And he did not say no. And I took that as a yes. And then the Calico Cat, Bonnie Mertz, who was the essence of why a lot of people don't like cats. Very off. You know, she just had no time for you. You had the sense she was always looking down her nose at you. Bonnie Mertz walked in. I said, Bonnie, would you? And she did not say no. And so I wrote a pithy little retort defending Lynn Cullen. And I signed it, Ernest Rubin, Bonnie Mertz. And Robin, my friend, had said, you know, they aren't going to print that because you have to put the address in. And they call. I said, well, look, so if they call and ask you if Bonnie Mertz and Ernest Rubin live at this Willard Street address, you say yes, because it's true. And she said, okay. And damn if the next day or two, there was this wonderful little right there. And there was another one that I had nothing to do with. There were 2 letters taking on the scab reporter who had defamed me. And the headline I've always loved is Mertz and Rubin defend Cullen. Yep. I have Iggy Pop to thank for that. And you know what else I have Iggy to thank for? So years pass. I'm here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, working at WTAE. I'm no longer, this all happened in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm now in Pittsburgh, PA. And Robin, turns out, is moving to Boston, I believe. And Ernest Rubin had long ago met his demise. And I asked Robin, well, what about Bonnie Mertz? And she said she's really, really old and not really well, and we're just going to put her down. And I couldn't believe it. You will not put Bonnie Mertz down. This cat I didn't even particularly like, but who had come to my defense at a moment where I needed a friend. And I told my supposed friend, Robin, you will put Bonnie Mertz on an airplane and send her to me. She can finish out her life here in Pittsburgh with me. And damn if she didn't. I paid the freight. Bonnie Mertz came to live with me. And she lasted about 2 years. But in those 2 years, we got really tight. She was turned out to be a wonderful animal who just hadn't appeared to be a wonderful animal because she was living in this chaotic household with screaming children, Ernest Rubin, and I didn't even mention the other black cat that looked like a cheap Kmart wig, Annie Ding Dong. When Bonnie died, I wrote a eulogy. I got that somewhere too. If I ever find these things, I'll share them with you rather than just yapping. Okay? And another thing I wanted to tell you, beware. Here's what happened to me. And you've heard the phrase, the domino effect. Well, you know, it's part of why we ended up in Vietnam back in the day. They said, if we don't go in and stop the commies in Vietnam, like falling dominoes, they'll go next into Cambodia and Laos and the red tide. The domino effect, because those amazing things where dominoes are set up and they go, I mean, those are amazing. But there is the domino effect, one thing causing another, that then causes another, that then causes another thing. The domino effect happens all the time in our lives, and I became a victim of the domino effect last night after watching Iggy Pop. I happened, in a fit of I don't know what energy, to wander into a room that I don't use very much, and opening a drawer. And oh my God, it was a drawer that contained just a massive amount of stuff that was old, unusable, whatever. And I thought, I'm going to clean this out. And damn, first I got a garbage bag. I was throwing things left, right, and center. I mean, it was stuff that no one would want, had no useful, bang, bang, bang. But then every once in a while, there'd be something I think, one little thing. One of them was like an eyelash curler. But, you never know. I put that aside. Throwing. And then you come up on some other little thing. Ooh, look at that. Could maybe use that again. Bang. And I end up, all I have to tell you is this. That drawer, which is a large, large drawer, is now so clean you could eat off of it. It is so empty. You cannot believe it. I even cleaned out these little organizer trays that have been buried at the bottom of it, and now they're back in there. No one will ever open that drawer. There is no point to any of what I did except getting rid of crap, so that, you know, when I drop dead, my son or whoever is not going to have to get rid of it. That was a nice thing I did. But I now have, because I ended up with piles of stuff. Well, you never know. My kitchen counters, because I brought stuff down, are now full of, you can't imagine. And now I've got to spend today trying to figure out what to do with these things. So I'll end up putting them in another drawer, which is becoming, why do we do this to ourselves? Just saying. Now, I swear, Jim, I'm getting more stuff about Jim Jarmusch. Jonathan says, I mostly think of him for Stranger Than Paradise, the black and white, very good film that won the prize at Cannes. And for featuring I Put a Spell on You by Screaming Jay Hawkins. Well, I swear. Okay. Then I won't. Maybe he produced it? Gimme Danger? Because I looked up Gimme Danger. And then Jim Jarmusch. Odd-looking fellow. And I said, show me his movies. And damn if they didn't. It doesn't make any sense, right? You guys are right. I'm just saying, how come I saw somewhere that he had directed it? It doesn't matter. You're right. Stranger Than Paradise, Down by Law, whatever. Coffee and Cigarettes. I think he's an odd one. Makes sense he'd be attracted to Iggy. Okay. You know, I came across somebody freaking out about what the House of Representatives, they passed two anti-abortion bills. The House of Representatives now under the control of the insurrectionists, and about to investigate all these really important things like Hunter Biden and the FBI. They think the FBI is like what? Run by a bunch of liberals? What are they thinking? I'd like to investigate the FBI for being, if anything, harboring a bunch of, sympathizers to the insurrectionists. We certainly know that's true of the Secret Service. None of that has been dealt with sufficiently. God. Anyway, here's what I want to say. Here's what we got to remember. One of the ways of keeping our relative cool during the next 2 years is to remember that the House of Representatives, the House of Insurrectionists, can pass all the crapola they want. It doesn't make it a law. Right? Because if you paid any attention in civics class, in order for something to become a law, it then has to pass the Senate. The Senate, I remind you, is somewhat in the control of the Democrats. Okay? And then, even if the Senate passes it, it goes to the president, who has to sign it. And that guy is a Democrat. So the House of Insurrectionists can pass all the friggin' take your freedom away bills they want. it doesn't make them law. They go nowhere. And it's just doing what these insurrectionists want to do, mucking up the government, using the government for their petty political displays, intending to keep the people who put them there in a constant state of victimization and rage. And that's why the only thing they can do is, with their ability to form these investigative committees, that they will muck things up with, distract us, ruin people's lives, make us all crazy. But that too will go nowhere. Every time these guys, Benghazi, anyone? Hillary's emails, anyone? If anyone is more capable of making mountains out of molehills than the Republicans, I'd sure like to find out who the heck those guys are. Or making nothing seem like something. Jesus. So, oh my God, how'd it get to be that late? I also saw that somebody put out that they got something from Fetterman, and it was a ask for money, for more money. Well, you never know what those Republicans are up to. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was somebody with a pretty big following, including me, who followed them. So I saw it on Twitter. I can't remember who. But they said, wait a minute, Fetterman, he just took the oath. He's got 6 years before he has to run again. Why is he asking us for money? Now, it's a good question, and I would hope that Fetterman would, think about that. Take a little break. I know he's been in fundraising mode for some time, but take a break. The war chest is probably pretty damn big and can be grown pretty quickly. Years from now, why don't you leave your supporters alone? It is just another indication of the corruption of our political system, of allowing so much money into the process so that no one has a shot unless they've got a war chest. Sickening. All right. I think that's it. I thank you very much. We, again, Thursdays, I always think, God, I wonder what Monday will have me yapping about, because in these United States, on any given day, so much seems to happen. And I now have most of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for things to shake out, down, or whatever. So who knows what we'll be talking about on Monday, but I intend to be here. Okay? Hope you will too. Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.